Moving on to our next speaker, Andrii Soldatenko, who is a seasoned software development expert with experience in collaborative development. Let's welcome Andrii.
Cool. Can you hear me? I don't know how it works. Maybe I should hold it so you can hear me better. No? Yeah? Yeah, let's do it because 111. Yeah. No demos today, so I can hold it. Hi there. Welcome to Vienna DevFest. My name is Andrii. I'm originally from Ukraine, living here in beautiful city Vienna. I'm software engineer at Dynatrace. I work in open source project Dynatrace Operator. I love some sport, but today we will talk about code review. As Mem said, it's not just easy as it sounds. Okay, so from all my experience, I found this nice quote that the most superpower of all of us developers is complaining about teammates' code. So usually, yeah, it looks something like it. How many of you are familiar with code review? Raise a hand. Okay, nice. As a repeat a little bit, so code review is a process in which code is reviewed by someone rather than you. You can also do it before merging into main branch or trunk or whatever you call it. And yeah, it's a simple definition you can find. It varies from company to company. So usually it looks something like it. It happens in rounds. It's very old screenshot from the GitHub. I think is one of the first screens. And each round is like completed in the one round trip. Reviewer writes you feedback and you do something. It can have one round or many rounds. And at the end, usually it ends with approve your changes with this fancy LGTM. Who know what is LGTM? It's not what you think. Okay. Yeah, it looks good to merge or looks good to me. Yeah, something like it. Many code review tools has button which mark it somehow. You can add a comment, you can add whatever memes integration. A little bit history about code review. So first formal code review process was studied by this guy, Mihail, in 1976, and he called it inspection. So this is not new, just in case. And there's a big article about it, you can read it. But for me personally, first historical moment is when GitHub introduced pull request acronym or a term. So there was historical moment. I think it's changed a lot how we do software nowadays, especially open source. Because if you were familiar before, people send to each other patches via email, and you kind of download it, apply locally, and send feedback also via email. But today we will talk why code review is so hard. And it's because there are many reasons. Many of them are sensitive, maybe are not. And yeah, today I will try to teach you, or maybe you will learn something new, how to do it better and faster. But I have a question to the audience. How many hours on average do developers spend weekly on code reviews? Any ideas? Okay. Any ideas? Okay, is this closer? Okay, who can? Okay, I make it gamification. If you correctly guess the number, I will buy you a beer, maybe. Okay. Okay, that's fair. Nah, don't Google it. Don't Google it. Yeah. You? That's more than necessary. Okay. Any other? Okay, that's a bit too much. 38. Okay. That's very close. That's very close. Okay. So I have a code review result from Stack Overflow. It's a little bit old because they stopped doing it, but average numbers stays the same. I will do Kido's math instead of you. So if you count like sum of 4 and more hours, it's like roughly half. So like, yes, we spend a lot. And that's very important. One interesting fact, I will show it later, that the proportion of time we write code to the read code is roughly 1 to 10 or 1 to like 7. So keep in mind that we read code more than we write code. As you can understand, every pull request is a kind of difficult conversation. It's like, especially when people love to premature optimizations, like, okay, let's do suggestion using this fancy cache, or maybe instead use a list, or maybe you can do these performance benefits, etc. So it's the same as we do when we write code. Also, sometimes it's a form of a control or like a power, because teams tend to be very defensive about code base. So they can apply you harsh reviews. They believe that, okay, maybe if you're junior, you probably kind of doing everything wrongly. Especially, they try to be a last defense before code goes to production. And teams believe that they try to protect code as a child, like, okay, that's mine, no one can touch it, it's only mine. Also, today we will talk only about pre-commit code review. So, as you can guess, there is a post-commit code review. I have never experienced it in like real life in my projects. Of course, it exists. So the difference is very simple. It's like when you do code review before or after merge, and then the flow is slightly different. I highly recommend the article on the slides, so you can read the why, when and why it makes sense. Of course, you should think about automating things. Like usually, even in code review, we can delegate to computers some boring stuff. And first come to mind is like linters. Yeah, there's some, it's mostly for Python. How many of you using Python? Raise your hand. Okay, not many. Java. Okay, makes sense. So yeah, I did lots of Python examples, but I believe Java and other languages has its own linters, but the ideas are the same. So before doing formal code review, you can use different linters and formatters. So like I remember time, it was like also in Python where formatting makes sense, but this was also in different languages. There was time when we fight a lot about formatting. Okay, let's do brackets here, space here and there. And then I remember that Golang came to the world and they show, okay, let's format everything in one way. Do you like it or not? Doesn't matter. It's very opinionated, but then it removes entire routine from developers to fight about formatting, because you can format files in one way, you get used to it, and then you delegate it. So you now never review format, you review semantic. Yeah, there's some formatters for Python, for Go, and now you know it's Rust also inherited, and many other languages, even old languages, also benefit from it. So ignore tools, but this is the idea. The third important step you can automate and delegate is dependency management. So you don't need to manually bump dependencies. You can delegate it to bots. And in the context of code review, you also can do code review what's your bots doing. So we do it in our team and highly recommend to others to remove your mental effort from it. And of course, every review should start when testing are done and all CI checks are green. So then you can easily start doing review before like seeing, okay, it's broken, it does not require review until author will fix it. And nice feature which we also use and I recommend it to many people is a code owners. When you have a big project, code owners exist beyond GitHub, so you can write which folders and which files tool will automatically request review from the local experts. So you can, again, remove this manual step when you created a PR or like pull request or change request, and you need to think, okay, is I need to add Andrii to reviewer or maybe Alisa or another guy or girl? So code review helps you to navigate in big code bases. It can be very complicated, like in Apache Airflow project, you can see this file is insanely big. And it helps a lot because different pieces are handled by different teams and people. Next one is a style guide. We found that every project should have style guide, otherwise you will never finish fighting with your teammates about should we use loops in this way or whatever. And usually you can do two steps. You can either adopt an existing style guide or you can create your own, which is a bit tricky. Or you can do incrementally, so you can add to style guide as you go. Like, okay, you found conflicting comment or conversation, and as a result, okay, let's add an entry to style guide where we as a team concluded we go this way. Of course, you can use combine approach. That's what we do in my team. So we have adopted existing style guides, but we have our own because some pieces are not covered there. And yeah, before you're like going crazy, I recommend you adopt existing style guides. There's a Google style guide. It has many languages, not only Python. There's like many other style guides. So every language has already many style guides. So you can do your homework. Also, when you want to create your own, focus on few things like rules to avoid danger. So, and rules to enforce best practices, and of course, consistency. So, like you can use style guide to make sure that every component of your project has the same consistent way of doing things, same patterns, whatever. And if you decided to go this way, which is not easy way, you can inspire by this book. There are like nice chapter about how to write your own style guide. And yeah. So next one. Combine approach, that's what we do. Next step is try to avoid silos in your team. So like, okay, if someone knows everything and review every PR and others kind of never doing it, it's not very good practice in general. So yeah. And now let's switch on two roles. They're like author and there's like reviewer. So author routine must include few steps. You create a PR when you're done. So you tested it, you make sure everything works. And it means like you did some checks, CI is green, and you requested a review. To simplify it, you can use Git pre-commit hooks, for example, which will checks before you push, okay, if everything works. Locally, linters, formatters, etc. Next, try to make smaller changes, like yeah, if your PR has like 3,000 files changed, even GitHub can't like render it. So carefully scope your PR. What we do in our project, sometimes it's inevitable to refactor something and touch 500 files, and you not always can be, you can split, because not every change can be atomic. What I do personally, if I change more than 400 lines of production code, I try to create PR. If I can't, you can use change sets or like split commits semantically. Like, okay, you did 5 big commits. One commit you replace library, then you refactor usage, then you fix tests. So you have 3 commits, and then reviewer can, okay, ignore all renames of import. It's a one big commit. And last commit is like more semantic commit, which change only related 5 files. Another important things, make sure that you can revert changes. It's more about from production world. Okay, you did a change, it went to production. And you figure out from your alerting that, okay, we fucked up, we must revert. And now, if you have this one commit, you can easily revert it, and then you can undeploy it. And your customers sometimes not even notice if your CI pipeline is so quick that you fucked up. But yeah, shit happens. So also another important one, when you change something, try to narrow scope. So, for example, your task was to change a little bit behavior, and you decided, today is my day. I will refactor entire file, and I will refactor here and there. So like bunch of unrelated changes to the PR, and then me as a reviewer, I don't see behavior change because you change so many lines which are unrelated. So try to either split it by commits, as I mentioned a few slides before, or just like create a new task and do it independently. One easy and straightforward, write clear PR description and title. I learned it the hard way, because when you want to backtrack if something goes down on production, you found a commit, and then you can also find some context in your PR description. So then it can give you some historical data. Okay, 1 year ago, we merged something and now we realize it was done wrongly. So give enough context for now for reviewer and for future generations. So also you can, if it's UI related PR, you can show before and after. It's nice when you have some screenshots. Okay, there was like screen like this and screen after. You can use colored screenshots, etc. Also, you can use this. I call it validate title, but I think it's a little bit wrong slide. So you can prefix your PRs with some keywords, which helps you to, okay, is it fix, is it build, is it end-to-end test, is it like refactoring, is it feature? So you can skip it. And of course, learn the process and communicate your response explicitly. If you fix something, you can re-request review or use this PTL. Who knows what does it mean? Sorry? Yes, nice. Yeah, it's like I learned it also the hard way. It's like, please take another look, usually. It's well-known acronym to gladly ask your peers to re-review stuff after first round of making changes. Also, what we practice and recommend to others, using code coverage inside review. So, okay, you did a PR. It looks good, but it's hard to figure out if you cover all cases. Automatically, you can measure code coverage of the diff and then print it in a comment and say, okay, you degraded code coverage. Yeah, it's skeptical parameter, but still it gives you some, okay, maybe we need to add more tests. Or like you just added 0 tests. In my projects, usually we enforce it. So if you change code without tests, your code coverage degrades. We will reject such change automatically. So it helps to keep this code quality on high level. And now let's switch to reviewer routine. So you as reviewer, I personally, as I mentioned, you do it more than you write code usually. So first, an obvious example, like, okay, you have a code and I say, use this language feature of list comprehension, which is like, if you're not familiar with this list comprehension feature of Python, it can give you like, I don't understand. What do you want from me, this guy? I will annoy him. Like, what do you want? So I need like 20 minutes to figure out and Google it. But instead, you can say, instead of like, let's simplify it with list comprehension, like so, and boom, done. You have example. Don't you think it's much like easier and happier to receive note like this instead of and author immediately knows what needs to be done and how to address this comment instead of asking 100 questions and making the code review loop faster. So next one is, okay, you get a request reviewed, and then what we do and recommend, do this, I call it in-depth review. So you can just blindly check the code, like, okay, it's okay. But what you can do instead, you can either run locally, like change, and you can also build it, maybe try to break it. Again, it depends on your project. In some projects, it's useless. But some changes are tricky. Or like, for example, imagine if you're building something, you have no time and money to test in all environments. Good example can be mobile apps. Or like, you build something for Kubernetes, and Kubernetes has like more than 100 flavors. You can't run on every flavor. So you test only subset. So when you do so what you can do, you can force your developers locally have tiny clusters and test it. Yeah, so you check that code runs, etc. And you can also say that, okay, it works, and important, you make sure that the change does what written in the requirements. I know it sounds a bit boring, but many times I see PR and I see a task and it does absolutely something different. So you always have to compare it, not only like, okay, code is good. So double check that author understood the problem before approving something. So I call this game good cop and bad cop. So you always be like on the both sides. Try to do critical review, so you kind of improve this quality gate, but don't be super bad. Like, for example, few tips I personally likes. So never say you. So instead of like, can you rename this? Just glidely we can say, can we rename this? And practically this works amazingly. For many people, especially, yeah, of course, if you're not native speaker, you don't care too much maybe, or you don't even understand the difference. But if you work in big international company, these tiny things improve review process dramatically. Also, you can use passive voice. So instead of like, this variable should be renamed, we can say gladly, what about renaming it? So we are not forcing you, we kind of, can we rename it? Like, also try to not like fight and not like command something like, yeah, move this or do this. You can just say like, again, can we move it? So again, some people are more like influenced by these words, some less. Depends on your probably historical whatever life. But it works amazingly, especially in open source, where no one owns you anything and doing it for free. So this will help a lot. Again, this is like real commit from the project. So what I'm doing, I found nitpick. I put a docu link with quote that this is like default feature, you can avoid it, and I suggesting a change. So if an author not like familiar with a feature, he can learn something new and he knows what needs to be addressed, and this makes the loop very quick. So another not straightforward way, okay, you make a change. I suggested alternative approach. If it's, you have to provide evidence that it's doable or it makes even sense, especially if two approaches are not equal, because just saying something not always helps a lot. Also, you can limit review on similar issues. So if you found something, you just left one comment, and you don't need to comment every similar line. Imagine someone made a mistake, you found it, you commented, and it means the author of the PR must fix every occurrence of the issue, and not like, okay, fix one, re-review, I found, and like it will be infinite. Something similar I mentioned before, like, but you have to respect the scope of review. So don't review the changes which are out of the scope of the PR. It's very regular when we like doing review and we found, okay, this like else never happened, but it's unrelated. So either create a ticket or like try to remove it from this scope, because it's not fair to fix old code. I mean, if it's not buggy or something important, but still you can do it in a next PR. As I mentioned, you can split large reviews. So when I see PR like whatever 50 files, 100,000 lines, I like, okay, not today. So it's your responsibility as an author to make life for reviewer easier so he can do it faster. So split it as much as you can. You can use feature branch. You can use change sets. You can use separate commits. Yeah, it's hard, but it's doable. Also, what I found, it's also from the world of empathy, I would say. Try to offer price of something. Like, for example, you found nice pattern during code review. You can say like teal. Or you can say, oh, this is an elegant and smart solution. Or like, it was a great idea. Trust me, it will keep your team spirit and like better, because you're in one boat. Yes, even then you work independently, but still if the boat goes down, we all goes down. So make these nice relationships helps a lot. This one, funny one, I call it double effort. So it happens when you have a big team, or at least 3 people. One created a PR, requested Alice and Andrii reviews, And me and Alice start fighting about code changes inside review. So like I say change this, Alice say no, don't change this. And the author like, okay, come on guys, what needs to be done? Who is the right? Who's the big boss? I don't know. Well, like decide. So try to not argue in PRs. You need to find this like agreement outside of the PR, and then provide one like common sense feedback, doable by the author. Otherwise, it just makes things worse. I saw it many times, but it's the time when you need to step in and help. Maybe you need a third person who make a relationship between these two, kind of. This is also a very regular one. It's late breaking design review. In a very complicated projects, some PRs came to review, and now you realize that code looks good, but design decisions and algorithms and whatever data structures are bad or wrong completely. And you like, okay, I can't comment lines, but what I can do, I can say that like this is a wrong design, this should be done this way. So this is a very tricky question. There is no right answer, but there are two ways of dealing with it. First, try to involve entire team in design document if possible, so there is no such situations. Or second, you need to try to help the person improve design inside this PR. So usually it requires like pair session or maybe even in-person meeting, so you can discuss it and improve it. So, or you can even propose alternative solution in another PR, saying like that's how it should be done, and or try to be involved in these discussions. Yeah, this one also fancy one with flip-flops. It's kind of, you created a PR and like which does something we already did 5 times in a row. We merge 5 similar PRs with this existing pattern. And now Andrii, me as a reviewer, decided like, I hate this pattern. I read Reddit news, like new feature of Go. Let's use generics. Why you're implementing like every type method? And like, so you should be consistent across the entire code base. In such case, how we deal, like you can't contradict existing patterns. Only if they are bad, then okay, we go with this PR, and then we create one big refactoring to fix 5 PR, like 5 occurrences of the pattern, and then we change style guide. So, but still try to be consistent and not flip-flop your decisions between PRs. Like today I like these generics, tomorrow I will read new news about generics are bad, it's slow. And before we will conclude, there are a few things for everyone. Remember that if you build stuff, you also own it. So keep in mind it. Regarding these review rounds, it's also important for different time zones. So try to minimize this lag. What we do, what helps, like you can set up Slack notifications when GitHub comment occurs. So for example, I created a PR and Alice give me 5 feedbacks, smaller feedbacks, and I see them in Slack, and I try to immediately or close to immediately reply to the comments to keep context switch low, and so we can try to do this loop fast and merge PR as soon as we can. So yeah, of course, you can learn a lot by reading code, learn about your project, about company. What I also suggest, try to review PRs from your and other teams. Even if you don't understand much Java, C++, you still can read it and spot some fancy or maybe simple bugs. Yeah, this healthy code review culture is a key, in my opinion. So I will repeat myself again. So we don't review the author, we review the code. It's important. So you remove a personality from the equation, and the tone should be non-aggressive, it should be natural, and yeah. So one of the bad examples, I have it. So like, okay, if you say first you use you, but you need to learn about functional programming, my boy, like, you know, and this is like, no. I mean, this is no. But you can say like, yeah, here, just do like this. See, it's a small change with suggested function, but it's a very different outcome. So it's not like, probably you remember we had this, I don't know how much you know and remember it, there was this slave master keywords in the open source code bases, and we rename everything, so there's no anymore these keywords. Now it's allow list and deny list, etc., etc. So there was nice trend, I think. Again, harsh code review can hurt. From my personal experience working with many teams, with many developers from many countries, some people are okay-ish, but some people are very empathy about it. They like really take it too personal. So remove it. Yeah, just summarizing that we remove the person, we keep conversation, and etc. So, conclusion. We respect each other, we automate everything we can. It also helps a lot, because if you automate stuff, you force your teammates do, you don't need this hard conversation about, okay, why we do it. Delegate to computers as many stuff as you could. It's also an instrument to knowledge sharing. Yeah, you can read a little bit about it, and slides in my LinkedIn and questions. Yeah, go.